VR and stealth. It should be a potent mix. You're crouched behind a box, a guard's footsteps echo closer, and your breath catches in your throat. That's the tension we crave. But Thief VR, Legacy of Shadow, it never gave me that feeling. Not once. And in this video, we're going to find out why that is, so stick around. I'm BMacVR, just a dude who loves VR. I cover everything from gear reviews to game breakdowns, so if you're new here, consider subscribing. Quick shout out to Vertical Games for providing me with the key to make this video. Now, I played Thief VR on PC VR, and unfortunately the issues showed up immediately, because it feels like someone stole the graphic settings right out of the build. Because there aren't any, and honestly, I'd be surprised if this version has any enhancements over the Quest. That said, for a Quest game, it does look pretty decent. But in a stealth game where shadows are your weapon, lighting is everything. And here you can really feel just how much the Quest held back what could have been a truly immersive VR experience. The game just isn't all that dark, except for the tutorial. I could barely see in the tutorial. But in the later levels, the shadows, they just never feel deep, and it's pretty immersion breaking. And in fact, it's kind of hard to tell what is a shadow and what will hide you and what won't. And there's no fancy lighting effects going on, no real-time shadows, and it's kind of strange. It feels like the guards should be able to spot me in plain sight, yet they don't. So I found myself constantly checking the diamond-shaped light meter on my glove instead of just trusting what my eyes would see. At least I checked it for a while, but we'll get to that. The graphics only set the stage, and it's the gameplay that'll determine if Thief truly steals the show. And unfortunately, the gameplay loop just never clicked with me. Too much of it boils down to opening drawers and just grabbing trinkets. Most of your time is spent sneaking around, opening something to find a shiny object while sidestepping these half-blind or maybe full-blind guards. And the scavenger hunt for trinkets doesn't really feel a whole lot different than just rooting around for ammo or a magazine in a shooter, yet it basically takes center stage here, and sadly, I just never found it that tense or compelling. I mean, I've done this a million times. I've opened drawers, I've grabbed ammo. It just doesn't do it for me anymore. VR and stealth also is just extremely, and I mean extremely hard to get right. And to date, I don't really think any game has truly done it right. But what do you think? What is the best VR stealth game out there? As for Thief, I wish it would let me do things like peek my eye through a keyhole or grab the corner of a box and kind of steal a glance at the guard. But your hands, they just clip through the world. And interactions like that, they don't really exist. But with that being said, I did enjoy the lockpicking in this game. And I even turned off the visual guide and relied solely on haptics. And it felt great. This is a really cool addition to the game. But the other VR interactions, man, not so much. There's an in-game setting that allows you to enable your mic so that the guards can hear you, which sounds really, really cool, but it just never worked. And trust me, I tested it out. The whole house knew I was testing it out, and I never alerted the guards once. Same with blowing out candles. You're supposed to be able to exhale in real life and blow out these candles, but nothing happened. Later on in the game, you get an eyepiece that activates Thief Vision, highlighting interactables and offering clues. You squeeze the trigger next to your head, and it feels pretty cool to do that. But the feature is kind of underused and at the same time overly hand-holdy. The inventory system is pretty clumsy too. There's this giant floating like sheet pack thing where you fumble for items and you're never really sure if your hand is in the right spot or not. This is a game that just was begging for a full body IK system, like lockpicks strapped to your wrist, coins jingling around in your pouch, or something like that. But instead, you're just kind of stuck with floating hands and a clunky menu inventory system. So outside of the lockpicking, the rest of Thief VR's interactions, well, they kind of feel like a missed opportunity. But now it's time to shed light on Thief's biggest flaws, and that's the enemy AI. These guards, they might as well be blind. In this example here, I've alerted 2 guards, and as you can see down below, they can't figure out how to climb a ladder or really have any idea where I went despite watching me climb the ladder. So there they are, and they're slowly deactivating. Okay, here we can see that the guard is suspicious, and it takes an extremely long time for him to see me. More on that later, but I'm hiding underneath this table. He should have seen me duck underneath the table right in front of him. So I creep out, and I get cocky, and I steal
something off his belt there. And then he actually swings his sword and hits me. But embarrassingly enough, after he hits me, he can't seem to find me, despite me not moving whatsoever. And this kind of just goes to show how the AI is just broken. I mean, this guard has no idea where I am, and we can see now that his suspicion meter is starting to drop. And he's not really searching the room or trying to find me. I actually had one instance where a guard literally said, "I'm going to search every nook and cranny for you," and then proceeded to just stand still and not even do anything. Okay, example number 3, and to me, this is the worst one yet. I see a guard coming, so I hide into the corner here. This is the guard's regular patrol route, and he's coming close, and now he starts to see me. And I should be worried, but because it takes the guard so long to notice, I'm not breaking a sweat here. And yeah, the meter's filling up, and then he walks away. Now, this is the guard's regular patrol route, and it's essentially meaningless because it takes him so long to notice me. So it completely breaks all level design, and I can just kind of walk around and do what I want. And in a stealth game, if there's pretty much no risk of getting caught, what's the point of playing?
And to make matters worse, combat is simple, very simple. Pairing a guard takes pretty much no effort, and knocking them out is just a clumsy tap on the head. The bow does exist, but aside from rope arrows, it's rendered useless by the paper-thin AI, and that's really the deal breaker here. The enemies are so easy to exploit that any sense of level design, enemy design, anything is all irrelevant, which is a shame because these maps do offer multiple pathways and there are some clever entry points. Thief VR should be a game with strong, and I mean strong, replayability. It rewards different playstyles like never being seen versus going on a clubbing rampage, and for completionists out there, there's a ton of different shiny objects to collect in these worlds, and they should be really hard to get. And at times, you'll see an object off in the distance, and there's just a swarm of guards milling about, and it should feel intimidating. It should feel like a puzzle that gets your mind working, like, how the hell am I going to get this? But instead, it squanders that potential with AI so weak that everything else just kind of feels pointless. I mean, why bother with RPG elements when it feels like I've outleveled the guards by themselves day one? And that challenge, it just evaporates, and with it, kind of any reason I had to care about the progression system at all. Because there is a progression system in this game, and sometimes it did seem like there were some cool and creative ideas within that system. But I don't feel like I need to really say any more about it than that. And with that, it's time for the verdict. I went into Thief VR with honestly low expectations because VR stealth is notoriously hard to nail, far tougher than stealth in a flat game. The immersion just breaks so quickly with weak lighting or underdeveloped AI, and there's nothing more jarring than standing inches from a guard's face and just watching their eyes stare past you. And Thief VR, it didn't meet my low expectations. Some players will still enjoy it. On Quest, the visuals are solid, and if you don't mind the AI, there's content to dig into here. And I know I didn't really go into a ton of detail on the other aspects of the game, like the story, the bow, the replayability, but honestly, none of that mattered to me, because the AI makes it all irrelevant. And not having graphics settings on PC, it just feels like the game ran out of time. Now, I didn't play the PSVR 2 version of the game, but I have heard that the visuals are the exact same, that it runs at 120 Hz reprojected, and that it really doesn't take advantage of the PSVR 2's haptics. And as a high-end VR enthusiast, that was a big letdown for me, and this just wasn't the experience that I was hoping for. And that's it. I hope you found this review helpful. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you can't tell, I do pretty honest reviews around here. And if you value honest reviews and want to see more, press subscribe. Help me grow this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.